Hello, children of class 9. Today you are going to learn about tissues. It is in chapter 6 in your class. It contains more than 17 pages and it has almost a number of diagrams or figures, what you call 12 figures are there. And this chapter explains to you on tissues. Let's say why tissues are required. What is tissue? First of all, you studied in the last chapter cells. You know that some animals and plants are unicellular, and most of the other plants that you see outside and animals outside your house are all multicellular organisms. That means multicellular organisms are made up of millions and millions of cells. But a single cell can do all the functions because it has organelles. It can show movement, it can grow, it can respire, it can reproduce, it can digest. All these things are possible with the help of organelles. As the animal and the plant evolve into multicellular organisms or living beings, their complexity increases. Therefore, a single cell cannot do all the functions. And in addition to this, the animals will have to move and plants are fixed to the soil. So they have special activities. Now, tissue refers to a collection or a group of similar cells doing same function. That means in our body or in all animals, we have tissues helping the respiration, tissues helping in receiving the signals, receiving information and doing movement, digestion. All these things are made by different tissues. And when once tissues will combine together, they will form tissue system, and then it becomes organ, and then the organism will come into effect. So difference between plant and animal will be very different. We shall study that later on. Well, today you are going to learn on tissues, that is chapter 6 in class 9. In this particular chapter, you will try to understand how multicellular organisms move, excrete, respire, reproduce, and then respond to outer stimuli, have their food, and grow. All these functions are taken care by means of special tissues, or what we call a group of cells which do similar function. Take for example, respiration is taken care by a tissue called respiratory tissue, where the cells of the same type do only one function. That function is to receive oxygen and supply it to all the parts through blood system. So tissue does a particular function. Similarly, in plants, we have tissue for conducting water, we have tissue for transporting food, and tissue for growth. All these things are possible because cells have specialized in their functions and form themselves into same working type of group, what we call tissues. I'll repeat the definition of tissue because you need to know about it. In biology, a tissue is defined as a group of cells that work together to perform a specific function. Higher animals and higher plants, that is multicellular organisms, have a group of similar cells for a specific function, and it is known by the name tissue. Tissues differ in position and function. In this chapter, you will study the tissues in animals and also in plants. Animals of any kind will have four types of tissues, namely epithelial tissue, connective tissue, and muscle tissue or muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. Epithelial tissue covers the body surface and lines body cavities. Imagine that you go into the river for swimming or swimming pool. You come out from there. Even though you are in the water, not a single drop of water enters into your body, and that's because it is covered by epithelial tissue. Now take the connective tissue. In your body you have bone, blood, adipose tissue. These are all connective tissues. Muscle tissue, responsible for movement. When you want to move, your movement starts with the skeletal system. In class 6, you have studied about the movement of the body. You know very well, skeleton or the bones are attached to different kinds of muscles, and they help in movement. Cardiac muscles made in the heart. Remember, the moment you start your life in your mother's womb, from there the heart starts beating. Heart will never stop beating. Imagine, cardiac muscles are such powerful muscles. You should know more about cardiac muscles. Isn't it a wonder how many times the heart will beat from birth to death? God only knows, perhaps. And then there are smooth muscles in the body that helps in different functions. Now coming to nervous tissue, your brain has got 100 billion neurons. Neurons are the units of nervous tissue. They help in receiving and also in sending signals from and to different parts of the body, and also it gives you the thing outside areas, what is there, and thinking also develops inside your brain. These things you learn in higher classes more than what I am telling you now. Animal tissues, though there are four, we can classify them in different ways. Epithelial tissue, for example, helps in protection, absorption, secretion, and sensory also sometimes. Connective tissue supports building of organs, transport of substances, and also immunity. That means when you get a disease may be ruled out by means of immunity system. Muscular tissue, movement and locomotion. Movement refers to your own body. You raise your hands, you run, all these are movements. And the locomotion refers to moving from point A to point B. If you start coming from your home to school, that is locomotion. And when you go for drill, they will make your hands and legs go up and down, that is movement. Now my lips are moving, that is movement. And that is not locomotion. When I move from my home to your school, it's called locomotion. Now you have nervous tissue. Nervous tissue consists of conduction, that means receiving information from outside. When you touch something, you feel hot or cold. You close your eyes when light comes. They're all receiving signals. And for that, there will be immediate response. And that response may be when you touch your hot body, you take it out. So the nervous system does all this function. You learn more about this in next classes. Let's say now we come to plant tissues. There are two types of plant tissues that you should understand. Any plant that is you see outside is fixed to the soil. It cannot move like animals. Therefore, in this plant system, you have a very different tissue system. Though they are living, they differ very much from the animals because plants are fixed to the soil, they make their own food, and they supply food to all animals. Let's see what type of tissues are there. One is called meristematic tissue, that is found in the growing regions. Tips of the plant contain meristematic regions. They are called apical meristem and lateral meristem. When you look at a tree, the tree trunk, ಬುಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ, ಮರದ ಬುಡ ಇಷ್ಟಗಲ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾರಣ ಏನಂದರೆ ಲ್ಯಾಟರಲ್ ಮೆರಿಸ್ಟಮ್. ಗಿಡ ಉದ್ದವಾಗಿ ಬೆಳೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಗ್ರೋಸ್, ಟ್ರೀ ಗ್ರೋಸ್, and that is due to apical meristem. That is one type of system, one type of tissue. Second type of tissue is called permanent tissue. You have simple tissue like parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. What they are, we shall study later on. And complex tissue like xylem and phloem. They are very responsible. Xylem helps in taking the water from roots to the tip, and phloem helps in bringing food from leaves to all the parts. Imagine a tree like coconut tree. ತೆಂಗಿನ ಮರವನ್ನು ನಾಸ್ಕೊಡಿ, ನೀರು ಭೂಮಿಯಿಂದ ಮೇಲಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು. ಹೆಂಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಝೈಲಮ್ ಮೂಲಕ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಯಾರಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಆಹಾರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಫ್ಲೋಯಮ್ ಮೂಲಕ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಈ ಟಿಶ್ಯೂಗಳನ್ನು ನೀವು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓದಿ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ರೀಡ್ ಯುವರ್ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬುಕ್ ಕೇರ್ಫುಲಿ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ 9 questions given at the end of each section. Try to answer them, and at the end of the exercise there are more than 11 questions. You try to answer them. This is just a diagram taken from a source where it shows you all the different types of tissues. Especially this is a part of the leaf. A leaf is cut and shows 4-dimensional figures. I will not go deep into this one, but that's only indicating parenchyma, and then you have xylem, you have phloem, and you have all the types of tissues present inside this. We will not discuss this in detail, but just look at the diagram, try to understand all the types of tissues present, cells present in that. These 3 diagrams given indicate the tissues in animals. These diagrams are present in your textbook. Please look at the diagram carefully, try to understand what is given in the diagram. I request all of you to see that there are 12 figures. Each figure contain many images. Try to understand them and find out from your teacher what they are. As I given the animal tissues, these figures are taken from your textbook. Try to find out figure 6.6, 6.7. They all talk about the tissues in the plants. Try to understand them carefully. Look at the diagrams carefully. Try to read the textbook, understand what they are. Ask yourself many questions to understand them. Now I am presenting to you questions given at the end of your chapter. There are more than 11 questions here. These questions are very important for you to read and try to understand. Try to answer these questions if possible. If not, I will try to explain these questions and answers in my next video. 7 questions are given in this. I will go to the next page. Continuing on the questions, here 8, 9, 10 and 11 questions are given. They are very simple questions. To answer these questions, you should read all the pages given in your chapter 6. There are 12 pages. These 12 pages will contain 12 diagrams. You should try to understand them to answer these questions also. Question number 11, 12, 13 and 14, 15 are here. That means you have 1 to 15 questions given at the end of the chapter. Again, I will repeat, you must read all the paragraphs in the textbook chapter on tissues, only then you will be able to answer these questions, or you should have listened to your teachers carefully, then only you can answer these questions. I will explain these questions and answers in my next video. At the end, I would like to give credits to Creative Commons, from where I have taken one diagram, and Karnataka textbooks. I have taken many figures and also the questions from them, so that you will be able to learn. And the next video, I am going to give you questions and answers on tissues. I hope you will understand these things. Thank you. Bye.